My problem is that I literally film when I feel like it, and that's the entire issue. That is the problem as a whole, the whole thing. Just yesterday, was it the day before, I filmed a video doing my makeup and everything, and then I hated it, so I scrapped it. Experiment my punta. So guys, I'm gonna do this. I'm so sorry for this baby right here, and I know that maybe this is a bit harsh, but I'll fix it when I'm editing, I promise. To go all the way over there. I mean, and I know I look like a bum. But what's new? This is my channel. If you don't like it, you know what? I'm not even gonna lie to you. I'm actually just using you right now because I am trying to get myself in the right headspace to study myself. Right now, I just feel like talking about something academic related is just going to put me in the vibe, because right now it's not happening on his own. It's not happening on his own. They can, and hopefully after this I'll be feeling very. Let's do this. Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. So upon countless of requests to make this video, I am finally here with a couple of accounting tips to give to you guys. I appreciate the fact that a lot of you believe that I am credible enough to do this. I don't even know how to say about that, but basically I study accounting myself. It's one of my modules, and I will be, should I even say this on here? But basically I'm going to be doing it for a very long time. That's the point. I just thought I'd come here, help the high school kids, and help some of the students as well who are doing accounting and who just like it. Basically I have about 7 tips to just kind of give you a quick rundown. They're all very basic because I truly believe that accounting in the grander scheme of things is actually just very basic and it's very repetitive, but these are the basics that you need to know and that you need to apply to make sure that anything that is thrown at you, regardless of what journal, what you need to do in accounting, these are the basics that you kind of go back to. You know what I mean? So let's get right into this. So the first tip I definitely have is the fact that you need to master your day one. And by your day ones, I mean, you know what? I don't like hearing this myself because I definitely think that this was one of the things I really didn't like, but your accounting equation. You need to master your accounting equation. You need to understand that assets is all obviously equal to your owner's equity and your liabilities, right? But also what's important is that you should know that under assets, what falls under assets, what classifies as an asset, what are the characteristics of assets, and then you basically need to know what goes under there so that you know what to put where. Here's how I try to remember it. With my assets, obviously it's always assets are equal to value for me. That's how I try to remember it. So it's your things of value that are valuable to you or to the business. And your owner's equity is basically your agenda, the shareholders or the founders' agenda. These are things that are like your capital and your profits per se, you know what I mean? So this is basically what the owner gets out of the business. Everything that falls under owner's equity, which you find in any textbook that you use, you usually find everything that you need to know related to owner's equity. And then your liabilities, I always think, damn it, obviously these are your loans that you need to pay back and just liabilities. Come on, everything that goes on liabilities, know what that is, know how to classify them, know how to identify them. And that's that. You need to know what goes where, what fits under where. These are things that you need to think about regardless of what scenario you're given, right? Right. The second one for me definitely has to be dead and click. We learned this in high school, and I'm pretty sure that everyone learned it maybe in different ways, but basically it all boils down to the same thing. Your debit side always includes, so it's your debit side, it includes your expenses, it includes your assets, and it includes your drawings. And then you need to know your credit side, everything that goes on your credit side and everything that is credited in a positive manner, which would be your capital, your liabilities, your income, and I mentioned capital already. That's how you kind of memorize it. This is another thing. Your T accounts are very important. Basically knowing what to put on the debit side, what to put on the credit side, what to put on the debit side if it's negative, and what to put on the credit side if it's negative as well. You know what I mean? So that's something that you also need to remember. So basically you know that any income goes on the credit side if it is increasing, if it is a positive thing. But if income is being taken away and you still have to put it in a T account, you know to put it on the debit side, because then your income is what? Going down. And when does it go down on the debit side? Because it goes up on the credit side. You get what I mean? Accounting people, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, I'm sorry. Oh, another thing just to mention about that double entries, a lot of the accounts, if not all of them, I don't want to say all of them because I know that it changes from time to time. Well, not from time to time, but just in higher levels, some of those things change and some of those rules change. But your double entry, for every credit there's always a debit. For every credit there's always a debit, and that is just your double entry rule. Moving on to the next one. Use color to organize your notes. Now this is something that has helped me all throughout my everything. I can't even lie to you, all my notes for all my subjects and all my modules in high school and in university. For me, in the study room, when I am being tested on something and I'm being assessed, I remember color. So I will tell you that, okay, now I'm being asked on this chapter and this is about the government sector. I know that I studied this and the only color I used for it was green. You know what I mean? And that may not work for everyone, but it's a good way to kind of just help your brain remember certain things that are outside of the content itself. I always say, if you can't create a way in your brain or yourself, create just a way for yourself to remember the content on its own immediately, create pathways that will remind you of the content. So sing songs, listen to a specific song, chew a certain like flavor of gum while you're studying something. When you're tested, I know it sounds weird, but I can assure you it works sometimes. You can almost taste or remember, oh, I was chewing strawberry bubblegum when I studied this. You know what I mean? Create little pathways that will remind you. It might take a little while longer, but you need to be patient with yourself and try to just set yourself up, even when you're studying, for the best, just for the best possible outcome when it comes to something, especially the ones that you don't understand the most. And I always suggest that when you're studying, start from the bottom upwards. Start with what is very familiar to you. So like when you're studying for, say, accounting, with like the theoretical part of it, learning unit 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you need to study all 7 learning units. Start from 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, because you know how throughout the year you're building on that. Now what you need to be doing for studying is basically reminding yourself from what is most fresh in your brain. You did learning unit 7 last when you were at school. Remind yourself of what that looked like, and that's going to be easy to come back because again it's still fresh. And then you give yourself time. By the time the test comes closer, you are clued up on even the work that you started in the semester. The one that you started at the end, that one you already kind of know. You know what I mean? So it's just easier. That might not work for everyone as well, but it's worth a try. Then your next one would definitely be practice your format. Practice what your debtors control T account looks like. Practice what your income statement looks like. Practice what your balance sheet looks like. Practice what your cash flow looks like. Practice what your CRJ, for God's sake, looks like. Just the skeleton. Because another thing with accounting, it's a time game. So you can't be stressing about the fact that you know how to do the calculation, but you don't know where to put it. You don't know, you know what I mean? Your skeletons, they usually give us some sort of tables that are empty and you just need to fill it in yourself. You can't, the only thing you should worry about in an accounting paper is your calculations, or just figuring out the money, the nitty gritty. Writing debtors should be the fastest thing you do. And you can only do that if you really know your formats. You know what goes where, how, what is a negative, what is a positive. The tables, your tangible assets notes, all your notes when it comes to your balance sheet, you need to know all of those. And it must be like you should write that as fast as you write your name down. And if you write your name down slow, then that's just a different problem. Oh, another thing, you just need to practice past papers. That's just another thing, like to practice formats. Print out past papers and write down all the formats once at a go, repetitively. Come on, by the time you get to the third past paper, you know what you're doing. Practicing like past papers as well is very helpful, because I can assure you that they may not ask you the exact same question in terms of like the wording, I guess, but they will definitely ask you the same. Some of the questions are really the same. I can't even lie to you, really, because there's only so much that they can ask you. There's only so many ways they can ask you the same question over and over and over and over and over again. So practicing and getting yourself familiar with how certain questions can be asked is also very important. And again, that's always just been a tip, regardless of not just accounting, like across most subjects. Moving on to the fifth one, always know your why. you should always know the how and you should always know the way. Like I said, this one literally just kind of piggybacks on the one that I said before. You should know why a transaction is working out the way that it is, and that's something that should be happening in your brain while you're reading. So you need to build that muscle. You need to understand how. You need to understand that, okay, here's a scenario, what is being affected and why is it being affected, like I said. Then the way, like I said, once again, you cannot be in an accounting room and not know where to put what. This is a muscle that must be built. Your format, you should know how to fill that in. You should know what to put where, because again, with your accounting, you can know exactly what to do, but if you put it in the wrong place, everything messes up. One wrong number, one wrong digit, one wrong 1 rand in an income statement literally messes up the entire thing. Knowing why, how, and where, that is super important. But again, that's a muscle that you must build. And I know that's not something we want to hear. These tips are not meant to be the easy way out. It's just what you really need to know. Unfortunately, with accounting, you need to put in the effort. You need to put in the time. It has to be something that you sit down and you kind of mentally prepare yourself for. Like, you can't ditch it. Then the next one would definitely be attentive or pay attention to dates, because that's just another thing. Another thing they usually catch us out on is they'll say, hey, the rent changed in September, the year ends in February. Now calculate the rent before it changed in September. Again, you need to understand that you are working with months. You need to know what months you're working. You need to be very attentive of when the financial year ends, because again, that's something they catch us out on, because I've never seen a paper where the financial year actually ends in December. Like, it's always February or like August, and it's just this weird thing, you know what I mean? So I think that's another thing. You need to pay attention to your financial year ends. You need to pay attention to when certain transaction happens, and you need to pay attention as to, like, just again how you write them down and how you record them, because sometimes, not all the time, actually really, but it's better to correctly record dates as well, even though they don't pay attention to them much, especially in like your general ledger. They don't, like, they do check, but like they're more interested about your money. Right. The last one, and this one is a little bit delulu, but like, I mean, if you're gonna practice delusion with every other situation in the world, we might as well do it in accounting as well. Visualize it and embody it. Like, you need to pick a side. You need to decide, okay, I'm going to act as the business. So when they say Temba's furniture business, I'm Temba, then you look at it from that point of view. So then you can see certain transactions and what they are to you. Because another thing that I know catches out a lot of accounting students, including myself at times, okay, so you get a scenario and there are two people who are affected, obviously in opposite ways, and then you don't know how this transaction affects this one and how the very same transaction affects the next person. So you need to pick a side. If you're picking to be Temba, okay, to you a salary is an expense, so to you it's negative. So when you're recording for Temba, you know that you record negatively. But when you're recording for Mr. Peacock, he got the salary. For him, that's positive. You know what I mean? So you give that over, and then you know, if you're recording for Mr. Peacock, it's a positive because his salary, woo, woo, woo. You know what I mean? You need to put yourself in the shoes of the businesses. You need to put yourself in the shoes of the debtors. You need to visualize and embody it, and at least in your head, just so it's easier for you to understand. I truly believe that accounting is not a difficult subject. It's just one of the ones that you really need to apply and really give your all to. You need to think about it in small little pieces, or else it may become very overwhelming, especially with all the numbers. But if you break it down and you do it piece by piece by piece, it actually becomes quite simple, because again, it's very repetitive. It's like maths. Plus is still plus even in metric. Plus is still plus even in your third year of varsity. But you are not plusing 1 plus 1 now. Yeah, now you're plusing 12,000 to the power of 7 minus that plus 12,000 to the power of 8 to the, you know what I mean? But the operation is still the exact same. Are there new rules to how you must plus? Perhaps, but still plus. Same thing with accounting. What you did in your CRJ is literally just recorded in different ways in all the other journals as well. So again, you just need to understand what is an asset. You need to understand what is a liability, your owner's equity. You need to understand what is debited, what is credited. You need to know all of those, and then if you take it like that, piece by piece by piece, and you actually give yourself time to figure it out, you will see that you're actually not that far off. I've been studying for my exam as well, preparing for that, and I realized that, you know what, there's some things that I felt like I really wasn't ready on, and I did an entire balance sheet without the notes, which is something that I've been battling with for some time as well, especially this year, because you need to visualize it and kind of do it in your head. It becomes a calculation. Now notes become calculation, because sometimes they just want the balance sheet, but you can't fill in the balance sheet without the notes. You know what I mean? You need to kind of mentally do that. And I thought, yeah, no, I can't do that. I did a past paper the other day, and I did it piece by piece, and I realized that, hey, I didn't get full marks, but I am not completely clueless. I think, like I said, if you think about accounting in bulk, you will overwhelm yourself and you will get down on yourself because you think you know nothing, and like nothing. But if you take it piece by piece, you actually give yourself time. Don't try to rush it. You can't rush accounting. Very little people finish like their full paper in an accounting like exam room anyways. I think that has to be another tip. You need to learn how to manage your time. You need to learn and understand that on average, how long should you be taking to do a certain question? Because again, finishing an accounting paper is quite difficult, but you can. You know what I mean? Like you definitely can. But again, it's a muscle that you need to it's a muscle that you need to exercise. You can't do accounting for an hour unless maybe you're doing one little part. But if you're going to do a full paper and do multiple, even an hour is just not enough, even if you're doing one part, because you need to practice it over and over and over and over and over again. So as an accounting student, minimum 3 hours at a time. But again, it depends on the person. But I think from me, that's all I can definitely say. If there are other tips, feel free to please share them in the comments, and let's help each other out. All the best to everyone who is still writing, even the ones who are finished. I'm so sorry that this is late, but maybe this could be helpful to other people as well. But yeah, from me, thank you for watching. All the best. I love you guys so much. Happy quarter to festive season. It's almost December. But anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one. I love you so much, and I will see you once again in the next one.